This week, we're going to learn about character traits. Specifically, we're going to describe characters in a story and explain how their actions contribute to the sequence of events. First off, we're going to just identify character traits. We're going to do that first with the reading of The Forgiveness Garden. This is by Lauren Thompson. Now, some of these words are a little tricky for me, so just bear with me, all right? Think about the characters and the traits they possess. The Forgiveness Garden. There was a valley, and through the valley ran a stream. The village of Vayam stood on one side, and the village of Gamti stood on the other. There was no peace in the valley, for the two villages had hated each other for a long time. One day, a new argument sparked. Both villages claimed a certain part of the stream was their own. Angry words flew across the stream. Then stones. A Gamti boy named Karune picked up a large stone and hurled it across the water. A Vayam girl named Sama stood where the stone fell. The stone hit Sama hard on the head, and she fell hard to the ground. The villagers of Vayam ran to help. The villagers of Gamti cheered and ran away. The Vayams called out for revenge. They were angry, and they were afraid. Would the Gamtis never stop fighting us? They gathered around Sama, admiring her courage in plotting their revenge against the Gamtis. As days passed, Sama's pain began to lessen, but her hatred for the Gamtis grew. And in the village of Gamti, too, the people were angry, and they were afraid. Would the Vayams fight us always? They gathered around Karune, praising his courage and scheming how to defend against the Vayams. Karune secretly wondered how brave he had truly been, but his hatred for the Vayams only grew. One day, Sama walked along the stream, yearning for something to ease her aching, angry heart. She reached a calm pool and bent to drink. What she saw reflected there stopped her. She saw the ugly scar, but most of all, she saw her own dark, brooding scowl. "Who have I become?" she cried. Sama wept for a long time. Then Sama looked across the stream. There, a few children from Gamte walked together. How scared and angry and sad they looked. Sama's heart softened. "They are just like us," she thought. Suddenly, a few of Sama's own people ran up. "Here you are," they shouted. "The time for revenge has come." And they pulled her away to join the fight. Villagers from Vayam and Gamti crowded the stream. The Vayams held a captive. It was Karun, and they all held stones. A large stone was put into Sama's hands. It was the stone that Karun had thrown. "Throw the stone at him," her people hissed. "Throw it hard." Sama looked at all the villagers, those from Vayam and those from Gamti. Their faces were like hers had been, hardened with anger and fear and hate. Suddenly, Sama knew what she had to do. "No," she said in a loud, clear voice. "I won't hurt him. Let the boy go." Her people grumbled. Sama went on. "It's time to stop the fighting," she said. "We must stop hurting and hating." and she flung the large stone to the ground. "Let us build a garden instead," she said. Now, all of the people grumbled. Someone shouted, "What kind of garden?" Sama knew. "A forgiveness garden." Some people gasped, some scoffed, some just laughed. But some from Vayam murmured, "Well, if Sama wants it." They let Karun go. Then they piled their stones near Sama's. Some from Gamti saw this and murmured, "It's worth a try." They added stones of their own. Only Karun hung back, scared, angry. Stone by stone, the people of the valley built a garden wall together. But they had questions. "If we forgive, must we forget all that had happened?" asked the villagers of Vayam. Sama answered, "We will sit together in the garden and decide." "Must we apologize?" asked the villagers of Gamti. "Will the Vayams apologize?" Sama answered, "The garden will help us find what is right." Still, Karun stayed apart, watching and thinking. Villagers set flowers into the soil and planted a tree. When the garden was complete, its loveliness made everyone smile. "This garden is for all of us," Sama said. "It can help us to put aside hate and learn what forgiveness feels like. Who will join me?" At first, no one moved. No one dared. The two villages had hated each other for a long, long time. It was hard to try a new way. When brave Karun, stepped forward. "I will join you," he said to Sama. Sama of Vayam and Karun of Gamti stepped into the garden together. They sat under the tree, and they began to talk. What do you think they said? The end. All right, boys and girls, time to use this story in finding character traits. All right, guys, now we are going to be specifically focusing on character traits. A character trait is a personality, characteristic, or a value that someone has. A trait is often revealed through behaviors a character repeats again and again. Remember, a trait is different from the feeling of a character. When we notice not just what the character says, but how they say it, we can think about them a little bit more deeply. The actions act like windows to the character's personality. So today, we're going to look at some examples from the Forgiveness Garden. All right. So on this page, Sama walked. She was yearning for something to ease her aching, angry heart. What she saw reflected her stopped her to think. She saw the ugly scar, but most of all, she saw her own dark, brooding scowl. "Who have I become?" she cried. We can notice that the author described to tell us how she was very, very angry. There you go. And even she started to cry. She wept for a long time. We can infer that she's maybe a peaceful person right now. She's become very compassionate, very thoughtful, very self-aware. So many options. Or even my favorite, reflective. Okay. On the next page, how scared and angry and sad they looked. Sama's heart softened. They are just like us, she thought. Again, she doesn't say angry or stay angry or resentful, but instead she looked at the children with compassion. There we go. Compassion. If the author had written, how dare they look at me like that, or Sama's heart hardened, then we might have a very different picture of who she is as a person. So, today and tomorrow you will be creating a character trait spider map to describe a character in the book, Those Shoes, using their thoughts and actions to justify why you chose the character trait. So just so you know, you are not going to be doing the Forgiveness Garden or Sama as the character. I'm just going to use her as an example to show you how it will look. So first what you're going to do is you will open up your ELA journal to a clean page. You're going to draw a circle. Then you're going to draw 4 branches coming off the circle. In the center of the circle, you will put the character's name. In this example, I'm going to use Sama from the story, The Forgiveness Garden. You will choose someone else from your story called Those Shoes. Then you will have at least 4 different traits from the branching off of those branches. So for example, let's do one. So let's say we identified as Sama as compassionate. Okay? You would write the character trait, underline it, and then you're going to write how she showed compassion or how she was compassionate. So I'm going to write down that Sama saw how scared children were from Gamgee her heart softened. Okay? So that would be my example. Those would be the example or the actions that were shown in the story to identify her character trait of compassionate. So this is what you were going to be doing with your own story. You will have 4 total character traits. Good luck, everybody, and have fun.